Hello, welcome to another WorkWithPlus course video. In the next videos, we will be looking at the specifications of the listed object or selection. This object allows us to make lists of transaction records, filters, export them, and many more functionalities that we will see during the course of all our videos. Let's start by looking at the column selector. This feature allows end users to choose the columns they want to display. In this case, we are going to go to Person, and we will see that here we have programmed a message that says, "You have entered the Person screen." As we see on this screen, we can visualize several columns, which the user can modify from the Select Columns section. We click here and we can see all the columns that we are viewing. In this case, to uncheck all of them, we have to click here, and we are going to select only 3. Birth date, city name, and country name, and we press on Update. By clicking Update, we will only see the columns that we have selected. The state in which the user saves the columns will remain in the User Customization table, so that later, when the user returns to this same screen, this information persists. When entering the selection for the first time, as we saw previously, we see that all the columns of the grid are visible. But what if the user wants to have only a few columns visible when running the application? So then from the column selector, you can add the ones you want. To do what we were talking about, we have the Visible by Default property. In this case, we have to go to the Person selection and select the columns we want and set them to false. In this case, we will select this attribute as well as this one and this one too. And we will place this property as Visible by Default. In this way, these 3 default attributes will not be visible. Next, if you want, you can re-add them from the column selector. Another feature that this tool has is the ability to reorder the columns in runtime. It is simply done by dragging the columns of the grid, and you would be changing its position. For example, we grab this column and drag it here, and we automatically see the change. Each user will be able to define their own order of columns, and this will be maintained every time they enter the same screen. Now let's imagine that we need some columns to remain fixed when we have a scroll at the grid level. This means that, as I scroll, some columns remain stationary on the right or left. For this, by default, all columns have a property to place them in, such as fixed left or fixed right, which is found in their drop-down. Let's place one of the columns with fixed left, as I'm about to show you here. Here it is. And let's start scrolling. We can always see that this column remains motionless in the exact place we set it. This is very helpful, in the sense that the user always has this column that he has selected immobile, in the section that this person has chosen. This feature, like the order of the columns, is saved in the database so that when the user logs in again, it is as configured. Finally, each user can leave the grid as the default state in which it was set at the beginning. To do this, we must go to the Select column and click on this button, which enables us to restore the data to where it was before. We click here, and we can see that the grid has returned to the initial configuration. We invite you to subscribe to our channels so that you are always up to date of our upcoming videos. See you there!